again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our press conference reaction show, basically in which I give you the latest in what happened down at the press conference, get some thoughts from you guys, thoughts from myself, and react to some of that news. And of course, also, I'm going to start adding into these a little look at some of the news which has been going on in the Arsenal world. This show might change a little bit because I know that there's other people that do press conference stuff, so I want to try and put a little bit of a TGT spin on it, if it were. First off, apologies for the camera. As you can see, I'm using the webcam on my computer screen because this, which is what I usually use, is not working. And as for most of you, though, this is my final day on holiday and have somehow still given you, I think, four uploads while being on holiday. We've done a podcast, we've done a tactical breakdown, we've done a raw reaction, we've done this, and we've done the Eyes of the Opposition. So five uploads whilst on holiday. Wow. There's a lot of work that's been going in. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. I much appreciate it. Thank you everyone in our live chat at the moment. I hope you're really enjoying the shows in the new series. Of course, please do go check out the last couple of shows that we've done. For those that haven't already, we did a tactical breakdown on the Newcastle game with Graham and Drew, and we broke down everything from that game, statistically, analytically, everything to do with that was broken down. And we also did an Eyes of the Opposition in which I interviewed Andy Jones. Now, Andy Jones is a journalist from The Athletic, a really good site, and we'll go and talk about The Athletic in a little bit. I have no association with them. I just really like their content. I like sharing a bit of it with you. But let's say hi to some of you guys in the chat first of all. Alex Cross, thank you ever so much for tuning in, mate. You wish you were me. Well, you really don't, mate. It's nothing special. Darius says, afternoon, Tom. That room you sat in looks mad. Yeah, it's very old, isn't it? Very old styly. Content says Carl Halliburg. Yeah, I appreciate you tuning in, everyone. Really appreciate it. Wang says, still not home. No, I'm still not home, mate. Still not home. I'm going home tomorrow very early so I can get back in time to watch the Arsenal game, of course. So yeah, looking smart. Yeah, we went out for a meal to celebrate a family friend getting a new job. So that's why. But let's talk about the latest content which I want to discuss with you. And that is, of course, the press conference. So let's go and have a look at the press conference. So you should be able to see it on your screen now. Talking about the first home game of the season, Emery was basically saying how it's the first match at home, and they want to sort of really do well. They're looking forward to playing in front of the fans. They're in a very good moment. Obviously, they won 3-0. Had an amazing pre-season. They are a strong team with a clear structure. Last year against us, they played 3-5-2 and changed. I think they will play 4-4-2. They are a team with a good coach, experienced here in England and in Premier League. They are playing, working, doing a good way. Saturday, we need to be our best individually. So it's going to be really... It's going to be a tough game. And I think from listening to what Andy Jones had to say in the Eyes of the Opposition show, Burnley are not anywhere near as scared about Arsenal as they used to be. We acknowledged in the show that obviously Burnley have quite a poor record whilst playing against Arsenal, and that's obviously going to count against them in many, many ways. But ultimately, they've got some quality players, Gudmundsson, Ashley Barnes, and they're going to be really up for this game moving forward. He was then asked about how ready the new signings are. And of course, he said, obviously, each player is different after Newcastle. And this week, the players are working well. We can decide to choose different options in each position. Really, I think we need to be competitive. We need different options to decide who is better in each match. The new players, the players who were with us last year, the young players, and we can achieve our way each match with confidence. And I think it's going to be key, not ultimately playing the same way every single week, but obviously seeing a different change, and obviously seeing Emery deploy different tactics and different formations and different systems against the teams. And obviously at home, you'd like to see us against a team like Burnley, a team that usually we see in the bottom half. You'd like to see us be a little bit more proactive. You'd like to see us play more with an attacking verve. You'd like to see us sort of play with Pepe and with Aubameyang and with Lacazette all together. You'd like to see Ozil probably starting there as well, just to really try and get at Burnley as much as possible, create as many chances for our really, really good front line, who are now very much skilled in scoring goals. Obviously, Pepe still needs to integrate, but I think most, if not 99% of the Arsenal fan base is sort of hoping to see those three play together for the very first time, and he was definitely asked on that throughout the press conference. In terms of the latest on Ozil, and obviously Kolasinac as well, Emery said that they came back training with us on Tuesday. They came to start training with us. We had it off. Mesut Ozil is a little bit sick. Nothing new there. He didn't train yesterday. Each training gives us good information, different options with them, and I'm pleased to have them back, of course. So with obviously not having them last week, I think definitely hindered us. I think Ozil had a fantastic pre-season, and going into this this season. Ozil, I think, is going to be an important player for us. We want to achieve our goals. We need him playing at his best possible abilities. And that's going to be really, really key. Matthew De Souza in the chat there says that hopefully with Ozil and Collar back in the squad, the security issues have been resolved once and for all. You can only hope. It's a really, really sort of unique situation. And to see this sort of happening at our club is a big shame. But we've got to get behind them and support those players moving forwards, and the club are going to be doing everything they can to sort of support them. He says that I can't respond the same. If they are training consistently each day with normal work, I'm going to decide and achieve the best solution in each moment. It's positive that they are with us now. It's a very political answer there from Emery. Would you understand if Ozil wanted to leave for Washington? Now, this is a really odd, I wouldn't say odd question, but it was a question which definitely got an odd reaction from Emery. I'm not going to try and put the accent on, but he's a bit saying like, really, would you want to ask that question when we're starting playing against Burnley, second game of the season? We've just finished the transfer window, and you want to ask about a player leaving? I understand why the question was asked. Of course, it's been linked with DC United. And that's why you ask questions as a journalist, and then they try and find out as much as you can. But I can understand his irritants in the reaction of his answer there. And we know that he doesn't want to talk about players leaving just the second game of the season. In terms of how I feel about that, I saw the links to it, and I thought that I don't think that he's going to be leaving January. I think this is very much sort of a deal that could be agreed for when he leaves at the end of his contract. Continually, we've been told by him, by his agent, that he wants to stay at Arsenal until the end of his contract. And so, therefore, if he wants to do that, then you think that he wouldn't be moving to DC United in January. I think he's a big player for us to lose in January as well. You can't really replace someone of that quality when they are playing at the top of their game that easily in January. So yeah. There's a lot of chat about Man United in the chat box, but I appreciate the debates going fully on there. Love the community that's going and building from this chat. He continues on in terms of talking about Pepe and starting on Saturday. He says, I'm going to decide tomorrow because now is a small difference to my decision about the player. It depends how they will be tomorrow in training. Pepe is training with us, improving with us, and knowing us. He's understanding our style little by little. Good Oasis song there. And physically getting better. He is more close to help us at the beginning of the match. So whether he starts or not, I think he will start. I think that's my opinion, is that I think he will start. In terms of if he doesn't, I still understand why he wouldn't start him, because you want to integrate them slowly. We know the transition between Liga and the Premier League there's pros and cons to it. There's pros in terms of the fact they're two very similar leagues. There's pros to it in terms of the fact that you're playing in a very physical league, and so that transferring over to the Premier League isn't as much. The negatives of transferring from Liga to the Premier League is, of course, that Liga doesn't have the same amount of competitive quality across the league. And Lille did very well last season, being on the brink of relegation not so long ago, to being up there and qualifying for the Champions League last season. It's really showed the transformation in that side. And there were some fantastic players that have now gone. A bit of the Monaco about their transfer window this year, after Monaco, of course, won the league, lost Mbappe, lost Bakayoko. And that obviously meant that moving forwards, Lille were going to struggle. But in terms of Pepe, I think that he's well placed as a very physical. He's tall. He's around 6 foot tall, and he works into the Premier League very, very well. And I think that he's got that ability and the fitness and the strength to come straight into the side on Saturday and play well. And I don't think he'll need too much of a transition period like we would see with other players. It says, are you confident Ozil and Kolasinac are mentally ready? And he says, yes. And this actually was reported by Sky Sports as a specific article on this question. Yes, 100%. Their mentality is focused on us for the training and the match. My focus is to be positive, and I think the players are 100% with their mind here. I want to help them be normal with us, training, thinking, and above all, taking the focus for each match. Again, it's a really unique situation that I've never really experienced with anyone previously, and so the reason why we're getting sort of this sort of response from Emery is well spoken and well said. For someone who actually struggles with their English, as we've seen in the past, to really get across the point they make. But it's very clear what he's saying. It's good to see that the mentality is with the club moving forwards. What most impressed you about the Newcastle win? He said that really we need to improve. We were happy with the 3 points, but we played seriously. But I want to improve on each position for us. Better build up, better progress with the combinations, safer each moment when we pass the ball between us. And when we progress with the ball like a team, we can find better position solutions in the attacking third. We worked in a way with a very big commitment with each player. We need to and can improve with the same players and other players who were out of that match. First, my idea is to get better like a strong team, being competitive in each position we work and stay confident. Some players need more with them. And after that victory, we can have confidence in 3 points working and thinking of things to improve next match. Now, what I pick out from that for me is that he doesn't really focus on the defensive side. Now, if you watch the tactical breakdown video that myself, Graham, and Drew did, we picked out a few defensive things and obviously attacking things as well. Myself, I picked out the fact that I thought we were very vulnerable in terms of our crossing. There are times when Javi Manquillo and Matt Ritchie could be in positions where they weren't really challenged by the likes of Mkhitaryan and Nelson. They weren't getting close enough to them. They weren't supporting their fullbacks. Maitland-Niles and Monreal were either occupied with another player or they weren't actually closing the player down themselves. And that meant we were really vulnerable in terms of crosses. So when you're coming up against someone like Ashley Barnes and possibly Vokes, you've got players there that can be really dangerous for Burnley, especially in aerial duels. Now, thankfully, hopefully we'll see the likes of David Luiz start. I know that Chambers and Socrates played very well, but I'm intrigued to see David Luiz start. I think he provides us with a little bit of a different option at the back, and he definitely adds something in terms of the passing going forwards with the long ball cross, be that to the wingers or to the fullback running on. I think he adds that extra passing dynamic to the team, and I think that's going to be really, really key against Burnley, and I'd like to see David Luiz start in this game. How pleasing was the away clean sheet? He said we can achieve our way with different circumstances. Really, the clean sheet is important, but the most important is to win. If we can win, scoring a lot of goals, better if we can have a clean sheet. Each match is perfect. Obviously, we know that Emery is very much an offensive style manager, even though he has been lauded for his defensive skills in the past. But I just think that he does need to focus a little bit more on the defence moving forward. It's sort of something where he's been very much keen of winning 5-4 instead of winning 1-0. And if you're a manager that wants to win 5-4 over winning 1-0, you are more likely to concede goals in those games. In these games against Burnley, against Southampton, against Newcastle, Norwich, teams that are lower down the league, we need to be ensuring that we are keeping those clean sheets, keeping the confidence up, keeping the defence secure, and obviously not showing our weakness too soon in the season to other oppositions that will be challenging us for similar positions come the end of the season, of course, in May. It's sort of wrapped up talking about Aubameyang and Lacazette. How will you fit them together into the team? And he said last year they played a lot of matches together, Alba on the right or left as a winger, and his capacity can help us this year. They are strikers, but above all, I think we can use them in different situations. Now, I think this is the biggest implication, or rather indication, that he is going to play with Pepe, Laka and Alba, because he highlights Alba being played on the wing. And there was a final question in basically linking back to the Ozil and Sead Kolasinac issues, which said the club is working on helping the team moving forwards and helping them about that. I am helping them in training and preparation. Again, it's just a repeat of what was asked earlier on. That, of course, was taken. James Benge from Football London was at the press conference giving you all of that update. It's really good, Football London. Please do go check it out for your updates on the press conferences every Thursday. But in terms of covering all of that, I think it's a positive press conference overall. I think there's things in there which we can appreciate that we're not going to get told. We don't know. We're not going to get told whether Pepe and Alba and Laka are going to start all together, but we can take some sort of indication from what he said by saying that Alba can play in multiple positions, that we are probably most likely going to see those three play together. And I'd be surprised if we didn't. Now, let's get some of your thoughts in the chat box before we go on to the next thing I want to talk about. Matt Hale said that Xhaka is possibly a doubt. That's very interesting if he is. I imagine that we'll see possibly Ozil, Ceballos and Guendouzi. Maybe Torreira now comes in being more fit. Torreira, Ceballos and Ozil, I'd very much like to see those together. Galstan Kroenke says that I hope all three, Bellerin, Holding and Tierney, recover 100%. Arsenal's injury jinx is really hurting us. Supposedly, according to the latest injury update, that Bellerin and Tierney we should see back in full training in October. Holding will be back around mid-September in the first team as well. I think we've got a lot of strength coming back from injury. Once Bellerin and Tierney are in this team, I think we've got a really, really strong backline. But Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Nacho Monreal, for me, were some key standout players from the Newcastle match. So I'm really excited to see what happens with those going forwards. Viraldo says that he thinks that Joe Willock should start. I think it'll be interesting to see whether he does or not. He was positive against Newcastle. He had to occupy a very central role, especially when Aubameyang was pushed out wide because of either Mkhitaryan or Nelson sort of playing more centrally. So it's going to be interesting to see where that does moving forwards. Epidemic says that, the Chambers and Socrates did nothing wrong against Newcastle. See no reason why change the pairing. Yeah, I agree with that, and I'm completely happy to see them stay together. It's just David Luiz offers you that extra passing dynamic that those two don't. And so I think that's possibly something that we could look at. Now, before I go, I wanted to show you something, which is an article from The Athletic. Now, from those people that don't know about The Athletic, as I said before, I have no association with them. I just think there's some really great stuff going on there, and you can find a link to getting a subscription to The Athletic in the description below. But I saw an article from someone which you people know very well, James McNicholas, who is, of course, Gunnerblog on Twitter and obviously does the Arscast. But he wrote an article about Alex Iwobi and his move to Everton and what that meant for Arsenal and the player. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about that. Now, I'm not going to go through it on the screen in front of you because you've got the link and you can go search it up yourselves, because obviously it's a thing you have to pay for, like I have to access. And I think it's a bit unfair on them if I then show you the article in all its glory. But I wanted to go through some of the key points from the article. And it starts, so there's a few points, and this was discussed in our group chat, and Miami John, who you know will be coming on throughout the season, shared this with me originally, and it made me want to cover it. So the first bit I want to talk about is how Raul and Edu are mentioned by James as being very ruthless and sort of detaching themselves emotionally from the deal. And I thought that was a really interesting point to say that originally, obviously, when we had Arsene Wenger at the club, Arsene Wenger was always going to be someone who was very much thinking about what was going to happen to his players, how he felt attached to those players. And so the fact that Raul Sanllehi and Edu have come in very recently, they don't have the same attachment to these players that Arsene Wenger certainly had. And I think that's why they allowed Alex Iwobi to lead the club. I think if a bid of 30 to 40 million pounds comes in under Arsene Wenger, I'm really not sure whether he would go or whether he would be sold in the same situation. Please, in the chat box, tell me, do you think if Arsene Wenger was still here and we got the same bid in for Alex Iwobi, do you think he would have sold? Because I'm personally of the opinion that I don't think they would have done. But that's just my view on that. So the fact that we've now got some people in charge at the top on the board level that have not got this same attachment to the players that Arsene Wenger did, I think definitely supports us and will benefit us moving forwards. There's also some points about how many within the club were actually shocked that Iwobi made the breakthrough all the way to the first team and stuck there as much as he did. Apparently he wasn't showing as much promise at such a young age as people thought, and the fact that he got all the way through to the first team so quickly surprised plenty of people. And I think that's probably led to some of the criticism that he's received in certain scenarios, that he's not really given everything that he could have done, and he made a lot of mistakes. Matt Hales says there that it's a good move for Iwobi and for us. Reece is on a high level, and actually that's the next thing I wanted to talk about. Is that in the article it highlights, or James highlights, should I say, that the transfer of Iwobi is a sign that Arsenal hold players such as Bukayo Saka and Reece Nelson in high regard and feel that both players can exceed Iwobi's contributions in the future. And I think that's a really key thing to highlight, because Arsenal moving forward need to be developing youngsters. We need to be developing players in which we can make money from. Iwobi has been that, and I think that's a really good sign moving forwards. But we can't get bogged down and attached to certain players, and we need to move some certain players on to make money back, because you've seen how the success of Chelsea financially, and I know they're currently hit with a transfer ban, but you see all the players that go out on loan for them and they sell them for 5 million here, 6 million there, 10 million there, and they make their money really, really well with their youth players, and seeing those players get experience by getting them on loan. So seeing players go out on loan to do well, obviously signing players like Saliba, signing players like Martinelli, even Pepe at 24 years of age, not old by any means, you've got sell-on value there. And I think that's something that we're going to need moving forward, is keeping players at the club that have got sell-on value. We've made mistakes in the past with, like, of Mesut Ozil, giving him a really, really high-value contract at over 30 years of age was never going to be financially viable for Arsenal moving forwards. It was very much a you buy this for the now and you're not going to get anything back from it other than what he delivers on the pitch, and that has been dividing a lot of opinion recently. So I personally feel that we're now moving in the right direction with those players and in the same style. That's really where I wanted to cover with that. I hope you've enjoyed everything. Let's have a couple of more things from the chat before we go. Tayyib says there, do you think that Nelson will become a good player? I have a lot of faith in Nelson. I think he's shown in spurts that he's got the potential moving forwards to be really, really good. I just think he needs to be more consistent. If you watch, and please do, as I've already mentioned, go watch the tactical breakdown that we did on Wednesday and uploaded, and we looked at Nelson. He came in a little bit too central sometimes for me. He also he was quite conservative in his play. He was a little bit passive sometimes, where he should have played the ball. He didn't. He held back, and that meant that he played a pass that was a little bit too safe. He needs to take a few more risks, and I think that will definitely benefit him moving forwards. Reece Nelson are never close to Iwobi, says Akine. Saka is better than Nelson, says Anthony there. Reece is on a higher level. Iwobi just turned 23, says Favour. Daddy Sparks says, "Hey Tom, we should be talking about Arsenal players. I think that attachment failed us on Jack and Cole. We got nothing from it, just mediocrity and injuries." Yeah, very good point. I think that's something moving forward that the club will do. Veraldo said that Gazidis messed up, and I think that Gazidis does have to take a lot of blame for this, and not having the system and the structure around Arsene Wenger really failed us moving forwards. And now, hopefully, with multiple people and multiple people high up in the club doing different jobs and different roles who have their specialities, I think is going to benefit us to no end. I really appreciate you tuning in today, people. Thank you ever so much. Please do share the channel around and tell your friends and share it with other people. I really appreciate the comments and the support the channel has been getting very recently. I tweeted out at the Gooner Talk TV on Twitter the schedule for next season, of course, as those that are long-time listeners, people have been tuning in all week and are unaware of the normal surroundings. I am on holiday, and I really appreciate you thanking me for all the effort that's been going in putting in content whilst I've been away. And there's going to be a regular schedule that will happen throughout the season. And match days, you'll see a raw reaction show, which will be me reacting with hopefully this camera working much better and not the one that you're seeing, this grainy, horrible screen. My only apologies for that. But you'll see a raw reaction show from me with you guys live, and we can get some reactions from everyone. We'll have the podcast on Sunday as usual, unless there's a Monday game. We'll have a tactical breakdown probably on Tuesdays. Eyes of the Opposition shows will be out on Thursday or Friday, with a press conference reaction most likely out on Thursday, and also covering a little bit of news as well, like you've seen with the Athletic Arsenal today. But thank you ever so much for tuning in, people. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll see you again very, very soon. Looking forward to the game tomorrow and the raw reaction show that will come almost immediately, as close as I can do to the game's completion. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.